guys, Colin here. This is the Orange Microdark, and as you'll be aware, it's a hybrid amplifier having an ECC83 or 12AX7 valve in the preamp section and a 20-watt solid-state power section. Now, when I did my initial review of this amplifier, someone in the comments suggested that I bypass the solid-state section of this amp and feed it into the 120-watt EL34 loaded power section of the Bugera 333, giving me a full valve amplifier. Now, I think that's an incredible idea. Now, a word of warning before I show you how to achieve this. Amps with a solid-state power section like the Microdark are perfectly safe to run without a speaker cabinet attached. Amps with a valve power section, however, are certainly not. Never run a valve amp without having an appropriate load attached. If you run a valve amp without a speaker cabinet attached, then you risk damaging the amp in such a way that it would be hideously costly to fix, or you could render it completely irreparable. Always match impedance and make sure you've got your speaker cabinet attached. Right, so a standard setup would be to run the guitar into the front end of the amp. That would pass the signal through the preamp section, which is usually where all your gain and EQ comes from. At that point, I'd take it out the effects send it through a few pedals on the floor, and then back into the effects return, where it would go through the power section and then out to the speaker cabinet. So to bypass the Microdark's power section, it's a simple case of not connecting that effects return to the Microdark, but instead connecting it to the effects return in the Bugera, sending the signal through its valve power section and then out to the speaker cabinet connected to the Bugera. So essentially what we have is the orange preamp with all the gain and tone going into the Bugera's power section where we get all the volume and valve response, giving us a full valve amplifier. And because we're running into the effects return of the Bugera, none of the Bugera's channels or EQs matter at all. They will have no effect. The only thing we need to worry about there is the master volume. Now basically this is just a fun way of getting more unique sounds out of the gear that you have. For the Microdark, this gives us ridiculous amounts of power and tone, but kind of ironically makes it easier to operate the amp at low volumes, because now we've got a master volume control and not just the channel volume. Now you could essentially do this with any two amplifiers, but remember what I said, never run a valve amp without a speaker cabinet attached. So if you're wanting to use a valve amp as your preamp donor, then you're going to have to connect a second cabinet to it or a dummy load to prevent the amp from self-destructing. But if you've got a Microdark and a full valve amp like me and you want to mix them up and get some different sounds, then have fun experimenting. Subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Patreon's there for exclusive secret stuff. All these videos are funded by the generous donations of people over on Patreon, so please go and check it out. Social media links will be in the description box underneath this video, and leave me a comment, let me know what you thought of the full valve Microdark and what amps you'd like to see mixed and matched. Anyway, that's all for just now, so if you guys want to keep it loud, I'll see you later.